Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am happy that we are once again that we are here in order to develop our skills and to continue the culture of research in the province of Cavite. Also, I would like to extend my sincerest thanks to the organizer of this webinar for having me as one of the speaker. The topic assigned to me have something to do on how to write the context and rationale. I am Sir Aries Manalo, Head Teacher 3 of Rosario National High School. The context and rationale is actually the first part that you would encounter in writing an action research. If you would compare it with the basic research, you would realize that it is somehow a summary of the chapter 1 or what we call the introduction. Before we discuss the context and rationale, let me present to you the objective of this presentation. For objective number 1, we must be able to determine the basic steps in writing context and rationale. There are different steps in writing context and rationale. Now, the question is, which one would be effective? Which one would be easy for you to use? So that is how I'm hoping that I would be able to present to you the easiest way on to write the context and rationale. Then our second objective is to discuss how to effectively write context and rationale. As I discuss this context and rationale, my idea is that I would be able to, 1, master my skills in writing this. Aside from that, I would also expect you to share it in the same way so that you could also master your skills while you were sharing it to your colleagues. Okay? For the introduction, let me present to you this diagram. Okay. If you would notice this diagram, the center word is the word purpose. You have there also the word talents, passion, skills, and expertise, then values. People may have lots of talents. They may know how to sing, they may know how to dance. They may also have different passion. They have passion for their work, they may have passion for love, or others. Other people may also have skills. Okay, we are blessed with different skills and expertise. The same thing, we have also different values. So, one people may value one thing, and the other people may value another thing. Okay, now, the question is, what is the relation of this word to the word purpose? At the end of the day, we would realize that it is not our talent, it is not our passion, it is not our skills and expertise, or it is not our values that would give meaning to our life, but it is the reason of having this thing, or the purpose of having this thing. Okay? Similarly, this is the same in writing a context and rationale. You must be able to know the purpose. Okay? Let us continue. Rationale. The word rationale as defined from Cambridge English Dictionary, it is defined as the reason or intention that cause a particular set of beliefs or action. What was the reason? Okay, the word rationale had something to do with the reason. What was the reason for you to do such research? What was their intention to do such research? What caused you to do such research? What was your beliefs? What was your actions? Okay. Now, from Slate Starter Sheet from April 1994, he defined the word rational as a justification for doing something. So, if you say the word rational, you need to justify why you were doing this action. Okay? Why you were doing this study. Okay? Next. What were the value of writing context and rationale. The first one is that it provides a framework to your study. As you write the context and rationale, and as the reader read the context and rationale, they would be able to see what is running inside your mind. They would be able to see, or they would already have the overview of what is going to happen on your research. So therefore, you are providing them the framework of your study. Then secondly, it is also an articulation for doing or using something. Now, in writing a context and rationale, you vividly discuss the background information, the trends, the current issues, what is happening inside the classroom. You need to articulate this thing. Now, once you discuss this thing, you must also be able to justify why this thing happened. Okay? Now, also, it would also ensure that you were able to capture the attention of the reader of your research. As I said, once you write the context and rationale, you are already giving the reader an idea of what is happening inside your mind on what are you going to do in your action research. Okay? Because you are already giving them the background information. You are giving them already the situation. Okay? Next. For the functions of the context and rationale, we have the following. The context and rationale actually justify the needs for your study. So, you have now the idea what you need to do. You need to justify. You need to justify what your study is needed to be conducted. Thus, it should answer the following question. The first question is, why you choose the topic? Okay, you must answer this question. Why you choose the topic for this research? Will it answer the problem? Or is it really the problem? Okay, next. Why it is important? You must be able to justify the needs of your study. Why your study is needed? Is it really needed? Kailangan ba talaga na pag-aralan ng mga bagay na ito? Baka naman hindi. So, your context and rationale will tell us and give us the justification in this process. Aside from that, you would be able to also to adapt a particular method or approach. Through an action research, in an action research, you usually adapt a particular method or approach. Once you adapt a particular method or approach, for example, you choose a prior model in order to solve particular problem in vocabulary, you must be able to justify. You must be able to justify that this model is effective in developing vocabulary. That's why you would like to use it in your school. Okay, so how are you going to justify? You're going to answer all of these questions by providing literature in your action research. Usually, this literature could be get from journal, from publication, from memorandum. Now, you must be able to cite this literature. Usually, the literature accepted are those literature 10 years back, or somehow it would be very good if it's only 5 years back. Okay? Thank you. Let us have the 4 steps approach in writing context and rationale. In the 4 steps approach, the first step is to provide background information and set the context. You provide the background information. What is the current trends? What is the current issue? What was the claim? Okay. What was the known stops? What was the current events? The trends. Okay. So these are the things that could provide you the background. You could also discuss also what is happening inside your school, what is happening on other school. Okay, so you could use this information and set that particular context by providing literature in that situation. Okay, next. Introduce a specific topic. As you provide the information, as you provide the background information, they would be able to see and encounter the problem. Okay, so from this problem, you would be able to produce a specific topic of your research. Now you need to explain why it is important. As I said, you just need to justify the need for your study. Then, after that, you must be able to mention past attempts to solve research problem or to answer the research question. For example, you use certain approach or method. You must be able to mention past attempt of past researcher on using this particular method. Is it really effective? Did they found it effective? So you must be able to mention this in your context and rationale. Okay? Then, at the last part, you would conclude by mentioning the objective and the purpose of your study. Most of the research of the context and rationale end up with the purpose. Sometimes, after the purpose, they could also provide the significance. Okay? Now, let us have another approach. This approach, or the SSP approach, is actually the approach that I usually use, okay, in my action research. I learned this approach in my seminar in 2007 at Antipolo, wherein the first S this is actually an acronym. The first S is actually stands for the word situation. So what are we going to do first? We cite the situation. Ano ang nangyayari sa bansa? Ano ang nangyayari sa school mo na related doon sa nangyayari sa bansa? After mong i-cite yung mga sitwasyon na ito, supported with the proper literature, you would also present the first P. What is the first P? You must be able to cite the problem encountered. What is the problem? After having this situation, ano nangyari? Ano ang naging problema? So, what is the problem? After next, you would give a possible solution. So, you would suggest a solution. How are you going to do this? You may research on methods approach wherein they could solve this particular problem. So, it is just similarly the same on mentioning past attempts regarding to this research. Okay, next. The last is, of course, to discuss your purpose. What was your purpose on doing this study? Usually, the purpose is actually your general objective. Okay? Let us continue. So for your output, I have here an example of a context and rationale in one of my study. I want you to cut it part by part, then put it on the necessary table or boxes that will be provided to you on the link. Okay? Then identify the steps in doing or writing a context and rationale. For my parting words, let us try to read this. The two most important days in our life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. So, if we would think we were happy to be born in this world, we were happy na naririto tayo, but we would be more happy if we would find out what is the reason of your existence. Okay? So, as a teacher, as our colleagues, and as a person, let us try to see what was the reason why we were here. Again, good day and thank you for